saying for a couple of years in my live seminars or any presentations that I give that when I caddy for players, they beat their average 100% of the time, which was in fact true, and unfortunately that streak came to an end last week here at second stage at TPC Craig Ranch in Dallas. I also say that while yes, I do believe that I help my players play with perfect strategy, I believe the biggest component as to why they always beat their average score is the simple fact that we have removed emotion completely from decision making. If they listen to me as a caddy, I don't care if we're 4 under or 4 over, we're going to make good, clear decisions, and then it's up to them to commit to the process and execute the golf shot. But we do not let our score or our standing in the golf tournament affect our decision-making process in any form or fashion. So I actually find it quite interesting that last week would be the first time that I would say I did a pretty poor job caddying, unfortunately. We've got a 4-year-old who's having a little bit of separation anxiety, not letting us get very much sleep, and she had a really rough night on Wednesday night, and it definitely impacted our decision-making process. I was a little bit tired. The day before was a really hard day in a 45-degree rain, and so both my player and I were a little bit fatigued, and you could see it in our play and our thought process. Let's see what I'm talking about. Here's our overall scorecard for the 4 rounds, and you can see he made quite a few birdies, 1 eagle, and quite a few bogeys, unfortunately. He shot even par for the week and wound up missing at second stage by 5 shots, but I want to look at a couple of portions of the tournament a little bit closer. First of all, let's start with the good. Here we are in the first round. We started on number 1. He just striped his second shot to 9 feet and made a 9-footer for birdie. Second hole, he had 2 great shots in there to 6 feet and barely missed the putt. But then we got into kind of a little bit of a rough patch here. We made a bogey on a par 4, par to reachable par 5, par a 360-yard par 4, and then made kind of a couple mediocre bogeys right here. It would be very easy to start pouting and getting in your own way at this point, but my player did a fantastic job of staying present, staying in the moment, and just continuing to hit great golf shots. Then when we moved on to the back 9, by not getting into a pouty mood, he was able to string together a fantastic back 9. He birdied 10, had a couple looks on 11 and 12, makes 3 birdies in a row right here. Capping this one off was just a fantastic chip in that I honestly didn't even think he could get it up and down, and he made it. It was insane. A bogey on 17 where we spun it back into a front bunker that was probably the wrong club. We were probably being a little bit too aggressive to a front pin cut just over a false front, but he didn't let that affect him either, and he hits a nice drive on 18 even though it barely gets through the fairway into a fairway bunker, hits a shot out to about 10 feet and made it for eagle. Fantastic back 9 that was completely set up by not getting in his own way and getting a little bit mental. I know out there in the Twitterverse there's a bunch of people that say, I shouldn't say a bunch of people, there's at least one person who says there's no such thing as mindset and let it all go or whatever nonsense, but there is mindset. This particular day we got off to a little bit of a rough start in the middle part of the round, yet he didn't get panicked or upset or anything. I was a little bit fresher. I helped with some good solid decision making through here, and we wound up making a nice back 9 in 31 and keeping ourselves right there in the mix. We were tied for 18th at that point, and there were 20 in ties that were going to be moving on to final stage. In the second round, this was my caddy setup. First of all, for the Pushcart Nation, a great way to do this is you can see my pushcart. I've got 2 umbrellas. I feed this one through the hole right there and then tie it in with a towel to where that umbrella can't move away. Put an umbrella in the holder and it's like you've got this little mobile apartment. It was a miserable day. It was 45 degrees and a just steady rain all day. Don't believe me? This is what the radar looked when we teed off, and this entire system just slowly moved across us over the course of a 6.5-hour round of golf. However, my player truly did a fantastic job. He hit 15 greens and had 34 putts and stayed as patient and unfrustrated as you can possibly imagine. He just kept hitting it to 20 feet and he kept on 2-putting. He was hitting some really nice putts that were burning all over the lips, but he never got frustrated, he never got down, and I believe that the difficult conditions were what allowed him to do that. It wasn't a day when you were going out there expecting to shoot 64. That exact same ball striking round, if it had been on a 70-degree sunny day, it probably would have gotten pretty frustrating in the middle of the round by just continually hitting it to decent, not tight, but not far, but where he has looks on basically every single hole and just kept on burning the edges. I really think that understanding that psychology, he would have been pretty frustrated with this round of golf had it been on a day that was perfect. But since it wasn't, and 74 actually was a decent round, I think we dropped 2 or 3 places, wasn't the end of the world, and we did a nice job of staying in the moment. Unfortunately, the third round didn't go quite as smoothly. Got off to a good start, finally made a nice 20-footer, had good looks on 1, 2, and 3, made a nice 20-footer or so on number 4, makes a par from a front greenside bunker where he didn't hit a very good third shot out of the bunker. He hits a poor drive where he's dead stymied by a tree on 6, and at this point we're starting to get, I don't want to say a little bit emotional, but a little bit pouty. We're definitely getting a little bit of down energy. And this is where it becomes difficult for me sometimes as a caddy with my players is I want to get them pointed in the right direction, but I also don't want to make them any madder than they already are by saying, hey, you're kind of pouting. So it's a very fine line to walk, and what's interesting for me as a former complete hothead on the golf course is I know what to say to them typically, and yet we could all say the same things to ourselves in this inner dialogue and narrative that we have going on, yet we don't even really try to. We just try to get mad. We try to stay unfocused and pissed off, for lack of a better word. So this bogey on number 9, I want to walk you through what happened. It's a dogleg left-ish par 5 that it's about 300 yards to this bunker, but there's kind of an overhanging tree right here, so it's, even though it's a pretty simple tee shot, it's a pretty awkward little tee shot because it feels like hitting it anywhere over here into the fairway is just way left. So it's kind of a challenging tee shot. My player hit most of his drives for the week out to the right, and in fact it's just where most people hit it on this hole. But then the layup, you got to lay it up to like right here about 120 yards away from the green, because laying it up over into this area, it's a small little area, but obviously it's reachable too. This direction, it plays downwind, so the prevailing wind that week was out of the north, so the wind would be prevailing this way. And since my player technically flew it onto this finger of this bunker right here, I for sure thought that it was playing downwind. So we get up here and we've got a pretty good lie on this finger. And what's actually interesting as I make this video is we had it at 206 to the front edge. You can see that it was really 216. That actually makes this make more sense, and I'm not very happy about it, because my player hits his irons really far, and he initially wanted to just pitch it down the fairway about 100 yards, but I really felt like he could take his 5-iron, and with it being a little bit downwind, blow it well into right here. The pin was right over here in a little bit of a ridge, a little bit of a funnel down here. And we went through it, and I said, you have to love this shot, because I don't want it to go to a bad place and then you be mad at me, so you have to love it and commit it. So he did. And he flushed it, and to be perfectly honest, when it was in the air, I thought, oh yes, it is going to be tight, because it was in, our target was right here on the left edge of the green, and he hit a shot very solid that was on the right side of his distribution, and it was going right at it. To be perfectly honest, I expected the ball to just drop right here, and instead it landed right here into this hill and kicked back down into the hazard. And honestly, I hope he's watching this video, because this is pretty surprising that it was actually 218, 216 to the front edge, not the 206 that we thought that it was. But more importantly, we were about 230 to the hole, and we should have just hit a 4-iron. I don't honestly know why, aside again from fatigue, why that didn't even cross my mind, because this particular player could have carried 4-iron anywhere, just gave us more margin for error. Now, the reason that I wanted to go with 5-iron is I believed that it was downwind, and this wind was just starting to oscillate slightly from the north, slightly from the east, and so rather than having a lot of help on that particular shot, the wind, I believe, was actually a little bit more out of the left, so rather than it carrying it, it just kind of fluttered up into the wind and probably only carried about 205 when we were expecting it to carry at least 225. He makes his bogey, not ideal. We go over to number 10, he pipes a drive, hits a great 8-iron right at it that goes about 20 feet long. And on that particular putt, because it was the only one the entire week that he hit with really poor speed, he hit it about 7 feet past the hole, I didn't ask him, but I can basically guarantee you he was trying to make that putt. Stop trying to make putts. I read it right lip, he read it left lip. I didn't think it really mattered that much, so I let him go with his read. I didn't want to disagree with anything at that particular moment and make him even more mad, so I just let him go with left lip, and then he just hammered it past the hole. Hit kind of a fluttering putt coming back, nothing very good, whatever. Now he hits a great drive on 11. He's got about 165 or 170 to the hole. It plays uphill about 6 or 7 yards, And again, it was slightly downwind because this is out of the east, and I don't think we quite adjusted for that correctly, to be perfectly honest. And so he's kind of between a 7 and an 8 iron. And I think that we both just got a little bit too aggressive. We went with the 7 iron rather than recognizing that the 8 iron would just be in here slightly short of the hole. I think that we took the club that could probably try to skip back here trying to make birdie, and instead we got this thing over here in a spot long that this is all zoysia grass. It's running away. He hit a fantastic shot, to be perfectly honest, to about 5 feet past, and just missed the putt coming back. We kind of misread it, but this shot we were most likely getting entirely too aggressive on, trying to get it close back here to the hole, trying to make birdie instead of just accepting our position and not letting our current score affect our decision making. We make a nice birdie on number 12, the par 5, and then we get around here to number 13, and we've got effectively 5-ish yards further than we had back on number 11. This hole plays the exact same direction as number 11, but this pin was about 12 yards short of the back edge. We actually had the discussion on this particular shot from 2 holes prior, saying, hey, you know, last couple holes ago we went with the longer club. We pulled the 8 iron on this one initially and then talked our way into it because of how much room we had behind the pin to the bunker to going ahead and going back to the 7 iron again and hitting it. And he just flushed it, or it rode the wind. I'm really not sure, to be perfectly honest, because I didn't think there was any way it was going to get where it did, but it got all the way into this back bunker, and all of this is just straight downhill. This bunker is just dead. I honestly didn't think there was a single chance he could possibly get it into it, but he did, and we potentially could have done something better than that. So here we go, just kind of recapping the entire series of events. We're just kind of floundering along. Nothing too good, nothing too bad. We're right around the number. We make definitely an aggressive decision on 9, but I do stand by it. We probably just should have hit the 4 iron instead of the 5 iron. I definitely think that he tried to make the first putt on 10, a little bit of a loss of presence, a little bit of trying too hard, and then just some poor club selections on 11 and 13 at kind of the wrong time. I mean, again, you're going to make bad club selections. Hopefully you spread them out a little bit more than we did, but we just got into this little series of events here where we were both a little bit rattled. I was trying to figure out how to make him more mad. He was definitely a little bit mad, and we got a lot of pressure on you at second stage, and we just kind of screwed up this one series of holes here. The way I look at it is, he didn't drive it particularly well for the week. He's got this kind of right miss still stuck in him from the USAM, and he putted pretty good actually. He only missed 1 putt inside of 5 feet, but he didn't really make any 15 to 20 footers, although he was all over the hole, and yet, you know, hey, he missed by 5. So no, he wasn't close, technically. But if it weren't for this little series of holes right here, he would have only missed by 1 or 2, and with not playing very good or making any putts, only missing by 1 or 2 at second stage is pretty darn good, to be perfectly honest. I'm going to wrap it up right there. This video is a little bit longer than what I had expected, but that's kind of the point of these From the Desk videos. I'm hoping to take what I'm seeing or what I'm experiencing personally in the world of golf and translate it into some sort of actionable advice for you guys. Second stage is obviously what everyone who's listening to this goal probably is in some form or fashion, and I want you to see this is actually what happened in second stage. This is what we did. These are the mistakes we made. These are the good things that we did. Winning golf tournaments and qualifying for events is not easy to do, but learning from the mistakes of others will help you do that much better in the future. Thanks as always. Good luck to you guys. Keep questions and feedback coming in, please.